Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there.
So, guys, we want to try to paint a bigger picture with this video of exactly what's going on in the past. What's all the commotion? What's all the fuss about?
What is all this fuss about? What is life about? What is our being here at this time? What is all that about?
All right, let me quote from 1973. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. Do you guys, can anybody tell me where that comes from? What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. I'm going to leave that out there for a little bit. So, we're looking at the sun. We're looking at a direction of the galactic center. Oh, we see Sirius there. We see the motion of the local interstellar cloud, direction of the sun's movement. And what we're going to talk about first is the knowledge that we are being bombarded with this cosmic energy, which is causing changes. As we've quoted many times, Robert Felix's book, talking about, well, magnetic reversals and mutations. This is what happens when we have everything that's going on right now: grand solar minimum, magnetic pole reversal in place, lowered magnetosphere, increase in cosmic rays coming in, and also just where are we? Because we also see there's these periodic cataclysms that come at fairly regular intervals. And it has to do with where we literally are as far as in space and where the sun is. And the sun's bringing us. It's all so fascinating. Many of you guys have heard of the solar sneeze, the galactic superwave, the big event that so many have talked about out there. I know, Corey Good, David Wilcox, Diehold Foundation, Ben over at Suspicious Observer, everybody, this has been a big, big topic because it's going to change everything. And we have gotten from the guides that, oh yeah, something's coming, and this energetic wave is going to, as the guide said, it'll basically knock people on their butts. Some people will not be able to maintain a 3D existence anymore when this comes, and they will find themselves perhaps incarnating on a totally different planet somewhere else, because the Earth is going up in vibration. She's ascending. We can ascend with her, or, we can end up staying on the reincarnation wheel, being somewhere else.
And, it's because we're all made up of some form of light. When you break things down, we're light pieces. And when the sun does its thing, it's going to send upgraded light to us. So when that light hits us, if you're not compatible with the upgrade, and actually no one is going to be compatible completely, but we can be close. We can get closer to the we can get closer to how what the sun is going to send to us by taking care of ourselves and, just being all around good people. We can get raised up in vibration to match that incoming light.
Yes, most definitely. So light, as Cindy was saying, is information. The sun itself is a relay. We've talked about how as above, so below. You can look up and see the stars, and if you were small enough to look up and see inside a brain, you would see what looks to be very similar to the stars and kind of a neural network out there. And we've even talked about the fact, are we living in the mind of God? And, again, we've talked also about, well, what exactly is God? Well, again, if God is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, then God is inside you and me and everybody. Everybody. God cannot be outside of creation and be omnipresent. It's just a conundrum. It's one of those things. What's the sound of one hand clapping, right? There is no sound. So, this is how we get some clues. But the control grid that's in place has been so effective at just pounding a narrative into the minds of the masses so that the masses will stay asleep and they will not wake up. Cindy has seen these beings, these creator gods, I guess would be a good description of them, that literally are in the sun. There's 7 different consciousnesses inside the sun that are monitoring life all in the solar system and kind of regulating things and making sure that things are, going along with part of the divine plan of creation, of which we are all a part.
Right. And it's really interesting how they all monitor their own creation, but at the same time, they take a look at, like, different ones take a look at other different ones to see what they're co-creating together and see how that's moving along. So, they are creator beings and they want to see and explore and through us. Yeah.
Yeah, through us. And life is all about exploration and creation. That's the whole purpose. Ultimately, we're consciousness that is eternal. So you can't get behind consciousness. Consciousness is. It is. And that's when we have the saying, I am that I am. Ea Ashur Ea. It's consciousness is the source of everything. Now, our bodies, they're vehicles for consciousness. And, we also know, though it's hard for us to comprehend in these finite little brains in this, small body, so to speak. But ultimately, there's an illusion of time as well, and that's a 3D construct. But what these beings are doing is, as Cindy said, they're monitoring and aiding creation, and they're always creating new things. And it's interesting because she said there's only one that's kind of humanish. They're mostly like combinations of,
Wow, they are.
Of kind of what we might interpret, human animal hybrids. But who are the real hybrids? Is there anything that's not a hybrid when you get down to it? Because, creation is all about creating. So one of the beings looks similar to this.
Yeah, that was probably the silliest one I saw that had like a chicken head. And, with our 3D construct, you think, wow, how can I see that as a creator being? But, who's to say what creator beings look like? I have that image and that's what I have to go by. So it's not like I pick it out, but there it is.
And we know on the higher densities, there's energy bodies that can't be perceived in numerous ways. It's just a matter of, what you want to show as well. There are abilities like glamour, for instance, and we were talking about that with one of our family members that we meet on a every other week basis. And, talking about how you could change your eye color, for instance. You can even kind of disguise yourself with the ability of glamour, for instance, so that people won't see you. Or there is a ritual that comes out of the Golden Dawn system of invisibility, which is called the ritual of the Rosy Cross. And Rosy Cross, Rosicrucians, RC Christian. There's so much that's been hidden and twisted. I saw this and I just wanted to share this little known fact all about consciousness. The reason why certain religions teach that yoga and meditation are demonic and satanic is because of what happened hundreds of years ago. And perhaps it's because of what's happened many times. We've talked about the Tower of Babel many, many times. We've talked about how everything is upside down, inside out. And again, for anybody that's new, just coming to the channel, ask yourself, do you trust politicians? Do you trust the mainstream media? Then why would you necessarily trust the most traditional, fundamental way of viewing certain things? And look into the history, because we'll get people quoting, say, for instance, the scripture as if that proves anything, but then they don't realize that there's been thousands of revisions to the scriptures that they're quoting. And perhaps that in ancient Hebrew, they didn't write vowels, for instance. Everything is channeled, but some things have agendas behind them. Agendas of control. When Britain invaded India, they had trouble controlling some of the population who were very in tune with their bodies and their consciousness due to dedicated ancient yoga and meditation practices, many had developed siddhis, which are special abilities, superpower-like abilities, which actually is, if there was no interference here from the dark forces, this would be common. And it would be so commonplace in 10 more years that it would be just the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Special abilities, unexplained by modern science, which has major agendas, because follow the money. Just follow the money. Who funds the science? Look, just follow the money. Like levitation, telekinesis, psychic and shamanic powers, etc. This is why the control system had the church teach that yoga and meditation were evil, to try to stop others from developing their innate human abilities. Why? Because it takes the control away from them. This is exactly what's going on. So, this is what we had talked about, how the world is always waiting to be saved by somebody else instead of doing the work and changing it ourselves. Change starts one individual at a time. And still there'll be people that, will quote their favorite scriptures and as if that's proven something, but it's not. Who wrote those? Who interpreted those? Who gave it to you? Mm-hmm. Look deeper, look deeper, look deeper. Develop your own consciousness. Look at the history of the past. The Templars were wiped out by the King of France and the Pope. Why? Well, they were heretics. They might have been cavorting with Satan. Who knows? Maybe they were having happy hour with Lucifer. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they understood things that, could take away the power control of the papacy, of the church, and threaten the power perhaps of the King of France as well. Things about maybe certain bloodlines, things about, secrets that maybe, Christ actually was married and had kids. And, you can't have that coming out. You can't challenge the official status quo. Look at how the modern day belief system of Christianity came about through Constantine the Great, a Roman emperor who killed his own wife and firstborn son to maintain power. So, and then, also, they were debating things. They didn't even agree on if Christ was divine or not. These were things that were debated in the early church. And as we said, hundreds of gospels, you got 4. People don't realize there were hundreds. People don't realize that there were massive scroll and book burnings, we could call them. Information burning, just like what's going on now. They've also burned the witches. That's been something. Natural healers, people that have intuitive abilities, people that could communicate with the dead and say, well, that's strange. I could see her out here right now. No, she's not being tortured in hell. Mm-hmm. No, she actually didn't meet Jesus or anybody, or maybe she did meet Yeshua. But just the narrative would be proved to be wrong and false. And they burn the Cathars as well. It just goes on and on and on. Anybody that will espouse anything that threatens the power structure gets exterminated. 90, 100 million natives and people that were living here in the Americas were wiped out. What's the dominant religion of South America? Well, it's Catholicism. Latin America, it's Catholicism now, not the indigenous ways, not the shamanic ways. And people will point out that, there was blood sacrifice that went on. Or they'll try to say they were exterminated because they're the offspring of the Nephilim. Anything to justify murder, control, rape, robbing, pillaging, and maintain this, status quo of this elite that rule the planet, ultimately for non-human entities. Did you go get your checkup today? Did you have your fluoride treatment? Have you brushed with fluoride toothpaste? Did you know it was used as roach killer? Could also kill crickets, water bugs, and silverfish. Mm-hmm. How about, this guy right here? I mean, he really cared about the health of people's teeth. Put it in the, C camps there. Dumb down people. Stifle their will to resist, make them compliant, and had the added bonus of making them infertile. Wow, sperm counts are down 60%. Do you know that, yeah, the population growth rate is actually heading in reverse. I wonder if fluoride has anything to do with it, as well as the estrogen from plastics and whatever else is up in those funny clouds up there. How about, taking what was recognized as Venus in most cases, the morning star, and turning it into a being that never existed in the first place? And just think about that now. How many people say, well, that's Luciferian, that is so evil? But, Lucifer literally means light bearer. Well, light lux. That's not, light is knowledge. Again, can't have people understanding. Why don't we get them afraid of knowledge? Why don't we get them afraid of light, the thing that's going to actually change them and help them ascend out of this darkness? So, and it's only mentioned once in the Bible. And so in Isaiah 14:12, he calls the king of Babylon Hillel, Shining One. Do you know there's legends all across the globe of the ancient and shining ones, which are actually referring to beings that perhaps have light bodies that actually helped humanity after these crises? Interesting. But of course, who's in charge of the world? Well, we know it's Satan. It's the adversary, right? Because that's what Satan means. Well, who's the adversary? Well, it's the system and those that are propagating the system. Ultimately, it's that group of humans, known in some circles, it's a word that starts with an I, ends with an I. But then we also have those beings that are spoken of in the Emerald Tablets. Yeah, it's all interesting. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Who really do run the show here? So interesting, too, that, it says they will not be able to hold their form when we start to rise out of the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, and that seems to be happening right now. JB doesn't look so good. Sometimes JB doesn't look like JB, and it looked like Kamala had something going on that was kind of like, well, maybe Dr. Frankenstein was doing some surgery over there or something. Yeah. So, this is very interesting and coincidental.
Yes.
Yeah, so who really runs the show here? Well, why would you trust their official story? Especially when everything is hidden in plain sight. They feel like they have to tell you what they're doing. That would get them off the karmic wheel. But then when you give your power away to them, ever think about that? Ever think about who are you actually asking to have their will done? Does that ever hit you? Just wondering. You got to be very specific if you're asking things, and asking for the lifting up, the rising up of humanity and the planet and all life would be a good thing for sure. As we see, it's all right there. It's so symbolic. They understand the big show. They understand what truly makes humans more than human. And it starts with Kundalini. And why is it terrifying to so many people? Well, because it's, for one thing, symbolized by snakes. And there is an innate fear of snakes in many people, in many cultures, and others revere them as wise. Be wise as serpents, it says in the Bible. Be thou wise as serpents. Well, when this power is initiated, and some view it as latent Shakti power just lying dormant in most, down in the sacral area, waiting to be awakened to run up the Sushumna, which is the central channel, illuminate the third eye, and give people those abilities that they found, the British found, when they encountered the yogis in India. Because that's what everybody would have if there was no interference going on right now. By the time we get to 2030, 2035, most people would have their Kundalini flowing. And they would see right through And they would see that some people, they have an overlay. Doesn't look very Homo sapiens sapiens. Actually, it looks kind of fishy.
Yeah.
Or scaly.
Scaly.
To say the least. So it's interesting because the Ida and the Pingala, they're the masculine and feminine energies that have to be balanced. And this world is purposely unbalanced. There's 72,000 nadis, subtle channels of energy. Think of it as a vascular system for the energy body that flow through the human being. And as we had said on another video, there are secrets hidden in the Bible, like 144,000. 72,000 nadis times 2, 144,000. Well, are those 144,000 are going to be saved, or are those 144,000 that are going to ascend? Is it actually talking about the energy body of human beings? And it's see, this is where everything has been just so incredibly twisted. The nadis convey the life force. You wouldn't be without them in this form. And so Ida Nadi means comfort energy channel. It's the passive feminine yin energy channel in the subtle body. It lies to the left of the Sushumna Nadi, and its energy is complementary to that of the Pingala Nadi. Ida Nadi, also known as Chandra Nadi, begins at a subtle level in the Muladhara chakra. It goes along the back of the left side of the spine, intersects with the Pingala Nadi in the Ajna chakra, which is the third eye, and they loop and they intersect at the chakras as they make their way upwards. When they are balanced, then the Kundalini life force can flow up to Sushumna and start the illumination process. Actually, what it'll do is it's going to give us our wings. Why all these references to wings? It's right in your face. It's right in our faces. This is what we're talking about. Sun, moon, soul, man, Solomon, sun, moon, Kundalini. See your wings. Look at the halo. Why does Yeshua have a halo? Why do the saints have a halo? Why do the master yogis have a halo? Because they're giving off a certain vibrational frequency because their Kundalini is activated. Wings of the cherubim. Who are the fallen angels? We are. Let that sink in a second. Because that's our true nature. And as when we get into a golden age, humans can be as the angels themselves. This is what's being referenced. So if you're believing in things that are actually literal, still believing the story that's been given to us by that group that begins with an I and ends with an I, by their Draco-reptilian overlords, and you're looking at things from a purely fundamental point of view, you're missing the whole point of everything. Everything. And why do we harp on this? Because that's what it's going to take. We have to wake up the masses so we can have a complete shifting of perspective to recognize what's going on. The staff of Hermes, also, think about it, the AMA, right? They know what's going on. And obviously the dark forces want to stop it. The Eye of Ra, the Eye of Horus, the pineal gland. This is what everything is pointing towards. This, again, is why, fluoride is out there. It's not for your tooth health. I haven't used fluoride in well over a decade, probably 2 decades almost now. And I haven't been to the dentist since. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thine whole body shall be full of light. What is that talking about? Well, fundamentalist point of view might say, well, you're just talking about seeing things, from God's perspective. But if God's omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, then wouldn't that reside within us, perhaps just latent and dormant? This is most definitely a reference to the pineal gland in the third eye. As Eckhart Tolle says, the awakening of consciousness is the next evolutionary step for mankind. Because we've been sleeping, We've been sleeping. We've been believing their story. As American as apple pie, Chevrolet, going and getting your SCRIPT from the DR to LOWER, your vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
Or serving your country by going off and fighting battles that at best are over resources, at worst are just about creating a certain energetic loosh for the parasitic ones that really restrict humankind. And as we had said before, Yeshua and his mission was all about raising consciousness. He never asked for anybody to worship him. He never, wanted people to just hang in there and wait. I'll be back and I'll fix this in 2,000-3,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's about changing your consciousness, changing your perspective, going within. The kingdom of heaven lies within. Greater things you will do. How could that be possible if he's the only begotten Son of God? How could anybody do greater things than him? That would be another conundrum. What's the sound of one hand clapping, guys? It's time to smell the coffee and to wake up to the manipulation that's gone on, the control that's gone on. We're not alone. We've never been alone. The controllers want you to think we're alone, and they want you waiting for something that's not going to happen. That leaves you at their mercy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure does. And I think it's important to mention that I believe our Kundalinis are being activated through the sun now. We don't need to do anything special to have it activate. But the problem with that is when that Kundalini starts rising, you can pull up old ancestral issues, and it kind of can make you face other issues. So the more self-healing that you're doing, the easier it's going to be for that Kundalini to rise up and find balance. And also notice how they have, I want to be careful with my words, but they have certain systems set up. So if you're not behaving properly, well, they can just, put you somewhere. And our attitudes and our lives and our hearts, they're all changing, and we're going to be different. We're going to act like different beings. We're going to make different decisions. So that's what this is all about. The sun is doing this for us. So it's good to recognize, what's going on and why it might be happening, and that's why.
Yeah, think about it. Exactly where she's going with this. Hey, she hears voices. Well, full frontal, low
Mm-hmm. They will
buttery.
too, yeah.
Yeah, just think about it. Up. She needs her MEDSs,
Mm-hmm.
or he needs his MEDSs. Well, maybe they're communicating with positive beings that are actually trying to guide them. Let's make them fear those that could actually help them. Well, it's right out there. Hey, look, humanity. They're totally united. They're as one. Oh, God, nothing could stop them now. Let's go down there. Let's get them divided and fighting each other so they won't notice our manipulation that's going on. They've eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Better get them away from the tree of life. Otherwise, they'll be like us. People don't, unfortunately, not enough yet, understand the bigger picture. You guys do. Maybe a few people now just brushing through and hearing this for the first time will be totally in shock, but maybe it'll just be enough that they will get that little inkling that they can't let go until they do a little more research. Maybe they'll actually try meditation, try yoga, try Qigong, Tai Chi. Get some Kundalini flowing. So guys, thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for being part of the Great Awakening. Thanks for keeping your vibrations high. And yes, we have to point out everything that's going on because a lot of people need that cold water poured over the head, that shock to the system that awakens them from slumber. I was getting the picture of Neo being wakened up for the first time in into a different body, into a different state of being, and recognizing that everything was an illusion, just an illusion. So as always, God bless, namaste, and thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon.
Namaste.